Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me. Let's talk about the future and the future of our landscape. I think today is very interesting. We don't live in a world where there's a lack of money or technology, but maybe a lack of imagination, how we want that future world to look like. And that is, I think, very interesting if you think about it. When you think about the future, we first have to imagine it, we have to wonder, we have to think, and then we can build it, we can create it, we can share it. But how does this new world, this new sustainable world look like or feel like, and how can we share it? That's the topic I want to talk about today. The future is also something that is being created. So this is the place where I create. An old glass factory in Rotterdam, in the Netherlands. An old glass factory that we renovated, where the team of designers, architects, engineers, and project managers are working on the landscapes of the future. So we put some smart people in a room with a pizza hotline and say, hey, let's build a prototype, where we try to materialize, where we learn, and I love science. Being the son of a math teacher, I think technology is such a great tool to make ideas come true. But what really drives us as well is to share those ideas. We make publications like these to really think about how can we create a world where technology and design are used to create a world which is better for people. But what really drives me as well is this. So World Economic Forum, which is one of the think tanks in the world based in Geneva, in Switzerland, did a research. What are the top 10 skills you and I need to become successful? So here I'm giving you a shortcut for in 2020. And look at this. Number 3, creativity. Number 2, critical thinking. Number 1, problem solving, complex problem solving. All the things a robot and a computer is actually quite bad at, yes? And so I think that's really interesting when we think about the future. It's not just about money or computers or microchips or C++, because that is something computers are very good at. But I think the notion of the ability and the willingness to learn, to share, why are we here today? We're curious, we want to learn. These are human skills computers and robots are quite bad at. So I think we will live in a world where creativity and creative thinking is our true capital, because this is something the computers and the robots are actually quite bad at, yes? So clean water, clean air, clean energy, clean space. These are our future values of tomorrow. So everything that you design today, either a car or clothing or a city, needs to have those values in its DNA. Without it, you are not future-proof. So let's talk about clean water. So as you may know, I'm from the Netherlands, yes? And the Netherlands, most of it is below sea level. So without technology, without design, without government, we would literally die. We would drown a horrible death. And that is very interesting, because my Chinese friends, when they visit me in Holland, they are like, you are crazy. Just move to the hills, move to Germany, move to higher ground. Who lives below sea level? Well, we do, more than 1,000 years. And we use creativity, we use technology to create our own home. But sometimes, even the Dutch, they forget. They take that for granted. And that's why we created waterlicht that you see here. A combination of LEDs and lenses which shows how high water level would rise, would be, if we stop thinking about the future, if we take life for granted. And we started to flood public spaces all around the world.
Best wel spooky. Spacey. Ja. het gevoel dat ik erbij krijg is een beetje onder water. Dat je onder een laag zit.
Ja, best wel mooi, vind ik.
With the waves above us. And it's magnificent.
Ik weet natuurlijk dat we beneden zeeniveau zitten, maar ja, zoals je het zegt, zou dat niet zo fijn zijn als ik dit opeens over me heen ga voelen, nee.
60,000 people showed up in one night here in Amsterdam. And some people, they looked at it and they were a bit scared, you know. This is going to be our future world? But most of the people were more inspired. Should we build floating cities? Or can we generate energy from the changing in tide? So I think it's so important, and maybe that is the role of art and the role of design, to be an activator, where people are not just scared of the future, but are curious and creating a collective experience where people are more open to that. It's interesting, because I don't look at the artwork anymore, yeah, just a little bit, but I look at the people. And they start to look, they start to wonder, especially the kids. They just stare at it for hours. And it's such a great way to trigger imagination and to wonder in that way. It's also interesting when you do public space, you don't have control completely about the space. You spend a lot of time in project management, in refining, in technology, in details. But also, always new things happen that you never imagined. For example, here, Daft Punk showed up to record its video clip there. So that is the beauty of public space. New things happen that you never imagined. So even me, as a maker, I'm surprised by what people are doing. And maybe that's a good thing. Or clean air. China, I've been working there for many, many years, working and living. And I'm fascinated how Asia is curious towards the future. But sometimes our desire for progress, our desire for innovation has side effects that you and I never imagined. And pollution is one of them. This is from my room in Beijing 5 years ago, looking at the CCTV tower from OMA, Rem Koolhaas, Dutch architect. So left is a good day. Yes, I see the cars, the people, the birds. Life is okay in a dense urban city. And right is a bad day. Yes, pollution, smog, a city so polluted you almost start to smoke again just to feel healthy. Like it's and it's actually quite sad because you live 6 to 7 years shorter. Children have lung cancer when they're 6 years old. So somehow our desire for progress creates these kind of pollutions. Somehow the city becomes a machine that is killing us, that is harming us. And it's not just China, of course. Paris, London, my own town, Rotterdam. We're searching for a new harmony between people and progress. How can we do that? So looking outside my window in Beijing, I woke up one morning and I became inspired by Beijing smog. It happened. You can get inspired by many things in life, good things and bad things. And unfortunately, I am not a minister of science or environment. Yes, I am not. So I cannot say 20 billion euros or US dollar in green energy, problem solved. This is something I cannot do. It's outside my parameter, outside my context. But I'm a designer, I'm an engineer. So I was thinking about this image and being sort of shocked by it and inspired by it. And I remember when I was a boy playing with these plastic balloons at children parties, and I would start to polish them with my hands, and suddenly the balloon would become... What would happen, guys? What happens when you polish a balloon? It becomes... I'm not being rhetorical here. What happens when you polish a balloon? It becomes static, yes, static electrified. It starts to play with your hair. You remember that a long time ago. So under the shower, I was like, oh, that's really interesting. What if we would use that principle from nature, that gift from planet Earth, to build the largest smog vacuum cleaner in the world? which sucks up polluted air, cleans it, and releases it. So this is how a project starts. Very sort of simple. I didn't know anything about air pollution or technology, but this was the concept. And you put some smart people in a room, external experts with a pizza hotline on the door, and you say, nobody leaves until we have a prototype. It's a joke, but that's sort of how we work. And you always have a lot of people who say, it's not possible or it's not allowed. You completely ignore them, and we built the first one 1 year later. This is in Rotterdam. So it sucks up 30,000 cubic meter per hour, cleaning the PM2.5, PM10, the ultrafine particles, running on solar energy, and then releasing the clean air. So we have parks which are 20 to 70% more clean than the rest of the city. If the city has become a machine that is killing us, let's build a machine that can heal us. Yes? So the Chinese started to call us, how much, how much? That was interesting. And so we became part of their war on smog, creating these clean air parks in different cities in China. And of course, one tower can never solve the whole problem of a city. And of course, we need to invest in electric cars, green energy, more bicycles. But I am not going to wait as an artist or designer. I don't want to wait. I want to create, and I want to upgrade the world today. And by creating a place where you can see the difference, where you can share the difference, where you can feel the difference, that's a way for people to sort of show the beauty of clean air and to become more part of the solution instead of just feeling part of the problem. The project started to travel all around the world. This is in Krakow, a heavily polluted city in Poland, in Europe, one of the worst polluted cities there. And what is very interesting, as this project is growing and growing, new things happen. You see these dogs here on the photo? They look really happy, huh? Yes? They look really happy. So, okay, I arrive at the day of the opening, Smog Free Tower, Poland. And my project manager, you see here on the left, Nick, he picked me up at the airport and asked, everything okay? Big opening tonight. He's like, yes, we did the scientific research, everything works, it's proven, everything is open, we're almost ready for the press, and it's beautiful, snowy, so it's very idyllic. So we arrive on location, tower is there, everything good. And I see tens of these little dogs hanging out around the tower. And ladies and gentlemen, it was a really weird image. It was like this secret meeting I wasn't invited for. This sort of weird David Lynch movie I walked into. So I asked my project manager, what are these dogs doing here? There's so many of them. And he said, well, I don't know. I didn't pay attention, I was thinking about other things. And then I said, well, we have 3 hours before the opening. We have some time. Let's find out. And so that's what we start doing. And as we were sort of researching, we realized, of course, that dogs have a very high sense of smell. Yes, they can smell 10, 20, 200 times better than us human beings. So they were suffering from the smog way, way more than us human beings. And so somehow they could smell the clean air from far, far away, and they would start to abandon their owner and hang out around the tower. And they look really happy. This one is really happy, you can see here. This one tries to be happy, but it's too small. Yeah. And that's very interesting. If the animals can feel, can sense what is good for them, why can humans not? We learn from projects like these. What is the price of clean air? What is the value of clean air? Don't we have a right for clean air? Everybody, but we also have a role in clean air. It works two ways. But unfortunately, we live in a world where to pollute is for free. So we were struggling with funding and growing these projects. And on the Monday morning, we had a big meeting about that. How do we make it bigger? How can we be smart? And we had buckets of this stuff standing in our studio. This is Beijing smog. This is the stuff, the pollution we were capturing from the urban skies, the urban polluted skies. And we were looking at it and we're like, maybe this is not waste. Maybe it's an ingredient. Maybe we can do something like a circle, like a network, like nature, which doesn't understand waste. Everything is food for the other. And we put it under a little microscope at the university. 48% is carbon. Carbon under high pressure, you get another not rhetorical question. You get diamonds. Yes, thank you. You get diamonds. That's really interesting. So inspired by that, we started to compress it for 30 minutes. And we started to make smog-free rings. So by sharing a ring, you donate 1,000 cubic meters of clean air to the city where the tower is in. And we put this online, Kickstarter, crowdfunding campaign. So the finance we made with the jewelry, with the ring, helped us to build more towers. And that's really interesting. So the waste wasn't the waste. It was actually the activator. It was the enabler. It was a way, you know, to connect people with the audience. And oh yeah, here, I have one here as well, if you want to see it later. This is Rotterdam smog. I also have Beijing smog. I have Prague smog. I have Krakow smog. Different types of smog. Also Seoul smog, a little bit. Yeah, not so much, but still. Interesting, eh? How to sort of show the beauty of clean air. But besides the money that we started to raise with the smog-free ring, because money is everywhere, what is even more important is community. These photos were sent to us in the following weeks. We never imagined this would happen. This is a photo of a wedding couple where he proposes to her with the smog-free ring, as a sign of beauty, as a sign of hope. And this is not actor. Eh? New York Times validated it. There were several wedding couples started to purchase it as a notion of true beauty. They didn't want to have a blood diamond from Africa. They wanted something new. And we were really excited about this photo that they sent to us. So we called them to check, and she said yes, to him, not to me, but to him. I have no idea who that lady is over there, but and this is really cool. Sometimes I still check with them, and they're still doing good. They're still married. They're still happy. Somehow I feel responsible for this marriage, which of course I am not, but it's interesting. So it's really beautiful how we need technology, we need science, we need machines to help us, but only technology just makes us more lazy. You understand? And at the same time, we also, you know, sometimes these problems are so big. Water rising, air pollution, so big. So you need to make it small. You need to make it shareable. Science, technology, combined with shareables and beauty creates impact. Yes, we need both to work together. And what is very interesting, we're super happy to team up with Anyang, the public project. We're installing right now a whole new smog-free tower, 60 minutes from here, opening next week. Anyang Public Art Project, very exciting. So you are more than welcome next week to visit it and enjoy clean air. Yes, very, very cool. Clean energy. This is a very interesting project where we work with energy harvesting kites. So wind is very powerful, and energy in a way is everywhere. All we have to do is harvest it. This is an old idea by our Dutch astronaut, Wubbo Ockels, who went to space, far away, came back and said, "You're doing it all wrong. We should sort of redesign or rethink the way we treat our planet Earth, our precious planet Earth." And one of his ideas was this. So you have a smart kite. You have a smart kite, here, floating high up in the sky, and it's connected with the ground via a cable. And on the ground is sort of like a dynamo, the same like on your bicycle, which produces electricity, which produces light. He had that idea, but he died in 2013, never got a chance to realize it. And I knew him, and I knew that story, and one day we had a chance to team up with his widow and his students to make his idea come true. And because the cable became so important, as this is pushing and pulling, we decided to make it light emitting and create the first energy harvesting kites in the Netherlands. So each kite, when there's strong wind, can produce 20 to 100 kilowatts per hour. So that's enough for 150, 200 households. That's really cool. So energy is everywhere. All we have to do is sort of grab it, harvest it, capture it. And what I like about it, this is the widow of Wubbe Ockels, of the astronaut, Joost Ockels. So she came to the opening, and she was really excited. She's sort of holding on to him. So that's interesting when you think about future and innovation. It's not just about new ideas. Sometimes you have to go back to the archives, open up drawers, listen to other ideas about people of many, many years ago, and activate them, make them alive again, and make them into reality. Very, very important as well. And I like, in a way, how different sectors, innovation, energy, tourism, landscape design, all work together, all are combined. You don't think in boxes, in tunnels, but you do something that connects all these different sectors. That's the only way making these kind of projects a reality. And this project, as the original kite, long time ago, was an Asian invention, is traveling now through different cities to make villages and small parts of the cities energy neutral. So this is the Afsluitdijk. This is very interesting. This is the wall that defends us, the Netherlands, from not dying. Yes? So here we have the sea on the left, and on the right we have Amsterdam, Rotterdam, my own hometown. Without technology, without design, we would die. Yes? 4 years ago, we were commissioned by the Minister of Infrastructure to renovate, to be part of the renovation of this famous dike. And what you should imagine is, this is our Eiffel Tower. This is our Chinese wall. This is holy, in a way. This is our cultural icon. But because of rising sea level, it was in need of renovation. And the ministry and all the government people realized this is not just landscape machine. It's our identity, it's our proudness, it's our culture. Can you make something to highlight the innovation and the emotional value of this famous Zen line in the water? So what we started to do is look at history. Built by hand in 1932, rock by rock. It was really, you know, an immense labor. It was really, we're fighting with water, we're living with water more than 1,000 years. And at the same time, I realized that as a maker, I didn't want to add more objects. Yes? It's already beautiful. It's so naked, so pure. Let's not add more stuff. Let's just activate and highlight what is already there. So we started to look at what is already there. So this is already there, 60 floodgates. So they open and close the walls of water. If these fail, we drown. Designed by Daan Roosegaarde, a famous architect in 1932. The first architect, actually, which was invited by the government to think in an aesthetic way about functional objects. Very interesting. And as you can see, he designed them to look like temples. Yes, very beautiful. But when I saw them for the first time 4 years ago, they were really in need of renovation. The concrete was rotten. It needed some extra love, so to speak. And at the same time, we wanted to do something about future, about light, about poetry. But we realized that everything with technology will break down. Yes? LEDs, cables, wires, microchips, software will break down because of the salt and the rain. It's very harsh climate. A lot of rain, a lot of wind, a lot of storms. So we wanted to work with what is already there. And then we realized, hey, but of course there's already light present on this famous highway, which is the light of the cars. That's interesting. What if we would use that? So inspired by the wing of a butterfly, if you ever feel desperate in search of meaning of life, you look at the wing of a butterfly. I'm serious, it's really amazing. So fashion, my clothes have pigment, have a toxic pigment to create color. Not the wing of a butterfly. It creates a sort of texture, a microscopical texture, that some light is absorbed, reflected, manipulated, and that's why the wing of a butterfly always remains vivid of color. It's super smart, you know. So we started to look at that, at reflection, at using these elements. Dragging our Minister of Infrastructure, this is our lady Minister of Infrastructure, prototyping, showing the politicians how it worked, mimicking the headlights of the car, and 3 years later, 324 people. This is daytime, yes, so they look like temples again. It's an official monument, so we had to be very, very careful. And this is daytime. So no battery, no solar panel, no maintenance, no LED, no wires, no sensors, just using reflective material and the headlights of the car. And you can go there every night if you visit Holland. It's there for free, no ticket needed for the coming 100 years. You know, why do we have streetlights burning the whole night in a city? It's really stupid. It costs a lot of electricity, maintenance, it's bad for the animals, people don't sleep well. And how can we use what is already there, headlights, buildings, and sort of upcycle them, you know, give it a pep, push it to a new dimension? This is how I'd like to see the future, energy neutral and at the same time beautiful. What is also interesting about a design like this is there's only light when the cars are there. And that sounds simple, but it's very important because this area is a protected area for nature, for birds. Yeah? So the light pollution was not allowed. So we could actually make a design like this now, that there's only light when the cars are there, and when there's no car, there's no light. Yeah? And these kind of sort of simple or simplicity principles help to make these kind of projects happen. In the end, when you look at it, you're like, oh, that's really easy. And in the beginning, it's very, very complicated. Yes. Yeah. Or here, you remember these glow-in-the-dark little stars that you had on the ceiling when you were a boy or girl? Yes? I think I've been staring at them way too long when I was a 5-year-old. That would explain a lot, actually. But I've always been fascinated with that. How can we create light without battery, without energy bill? So 5 years ago, we went back to the lab, this phosphorescent glow-in-the-dark material, trying to make it more durable, more sustainable, more light-emitting. With the experts, started to tweak and tune with the material. And as we were working on this smart material, trying to improve it, we got a request from these guys. Van Gogh, the famous Van Gogh, the famous Dutch painter. And they wanted to celebrate his 125th anniversary. And the foundation came to me and asked, can you make something to make him feel more alive again? We don't only want to hang him in a museum with a sign, please do not touch. That's important, but we want more. So I started to follow the life of Van Gogh. I got really interested by that question that they asked me. And I find this really beautiful place, a bicycle path, where Van Gogh lived and worked in 1883 till 1800 and 2 years later. And after that, he made the famous Starry Nights, what you see here, hanging in the MoMA. So we started to sort of connect the material research and the question. So this is basically creativity. We started doing this for 10 months, connecting. I will keep on doing this for 5 minutes. Yeah. What? I can do whatever I want. Yeah. No. And this is what we made. So a bicycle path in the area where Van Gogh literally lived and worked. Yes, he walked these grounds not so long ago. And it was really beautiful to make something that charges at daytime and glows at night. And all the electricity is from the sun. It's a place of wonder, but also a place of safety.
It's just like we're laying on a starry night.
You know, why is it that when we talk about mobility and innovation, everybody is always focused on cars? Why? Yes, they can be sexy and glamorous and billions of research and development, and it is great. But what about our highways? What about our bicycle path? Are they not an interface of information, of history, of expression? And it was so cool to actually team up with the infrastructure company. It's Heijmans collaboration, 8,000 people, a very, very conservative infrastructure company who creates roads and highways. But the CEO of that company realized they needed to invest in new ideas to survive. And I, as a designer, I don't know how to build a highway, yes? I don't want to know. I want to work with experts who have been doing this for many years, the craftsmanship, the skills that they have. And they maybe are very good in making highways, but they don't think so much about future. That's not their expertise. So working with infrastructure, artist and infrastructure company, working together, that's how you create these kind of projects. So it's not just innovation as decoration or beautifying. It's also reforming. What can a highway be? What can a bicycle path be? And how can you create a place which is a wonder, which triggers people to think about reality in a more beautiful way? We started to highways as well. I like highways. It's very interesting. Charging at daytime, glowing at night. We were listening a lot to Daft Punk and Philip Glass when we were designing this. So it's sort of in the design as well. Last one. So I talked about clean air, clean energy, clean water. This is clean space, yes. This is a visualization of the 8.1 million kilo of space junk, space debris, which is currently floating around our precious Earth. Yes, so this is not an undiscovered Jackson Pollock or a photo of an atom or something like that. No. This is somehow our today reality. So in the beginning, or in the middle, you have the Earth, and around it you have all the junk. So it started in 1957, launch of Sputnik, Apollo, pieces of satellites and missiles started to collide and create this layer of junk around our precious Earth. So somehow, we as human beings are not satisfied ruining our planet Earth. We just keep on going outside our Earth atmosphere. Crazy, crazy. And I didn't know about this, what do I know? But 2 years ago, I walked by one of the desktops, one of the computers of my designers in the studio in Rotterdam. And I saw this image, and I'm like, what's that? They're like, that's space junk. I'm like, that's crazy. And so, same like Smog Free project, I became inspired by space waste. And so we decided to launch Space Waste Lab with ESA, the European Space Agency, and NASA in Houston, to visualize, capture, and upcycle space junk. What is important to know is, you can say, okay, space junk is very far away. Why should we care? 220,000 kilometers, very, very far away. Well, if a tiny particle, because of its high speed, hits an existing satellite, it is a direct, it explodes. It's like a bomb, 27,000 kilometers per hour, bomb. And there are a lot of pieces of them. So if we continue like this, and you see here a visualization of the space junk above our head, I created this yesterday. So if you look up, this is more or less all the space waste above our head, larger than 10 centimeters. Below 10 centimeters, we cannot detect. So this is the information that we got, open source. So they all have a name, which is quite interesting. So Cosmos is Chinese. What else? I have some Russian as well. Delta is an American. Not so much Korean, by the way. You're doing pretty good, yeah. And so the immensity is crazy. So once it hit existing satellite and creates this explosion, it becomes a threat to our day-to-day communication. In the future, 5G, no more internet, no more banking, no more Herald Design Forum website, no more Instagram. No more Instagram! I'm sure you will be very, very upset about that. So we're like, okay, let's think about solutions. So everybody agrees, once we visualized it, phase 2, fixing it, everybody sort of agrees in the space world that a net is the most realistic option. So you have a small cube satellite, 15, 20 nets, and you grab it. Not proven yet, but everybody thinks this is more or less the most realistic. At the same time, you have a technical solution, but the project had one big problem. Nobody wants to pay. We live in a world where to pollute is for free. And also, and that's even more important, cleaning up is not fun. Same when you were a boy or girl and your mother came to you and said, clean up your room. I don't know about you, but I never did that, you know. I want to watch television, I'll have my popcorn, my little ice cream. I'm not cleaning up my room, that's really boring. So we had to introduce somehow the power of design, the power of creative thinking. I'm not smarter than Asa, because these guys are super, super smart. But I can think in a different way. And so what we did in a way is ask a question to you, to me, to everybody. 8.1 million kilo of space waste. What if we don't think of it as waste, but as an ingredient? Yes? What would you build with 8.1 million kilo of Lego blocks? Yes? 2,000 workshops with students, and at the same time, front row, you see the space experts. So we had amateurs, experts, thinking out loud, working together. What can we create with space waste? And ideas started to show up. People started to send in ideas. Collect the space waste and push it in a black hole. Maybe not a really good idea. Or here, we need to build a wall from space waste and make the aliens pay for it, make space clean again. No comment. But what we started to apply is the rule Maya. And that's a design professor from 1960, 1970. He came up with that term, Maya, most advanced yet acceptable. I'll explain it to you. Very simple. So if you have a new idea and you present it to the world, if you go too far, yes, it's too complicated, it's too extreme. You go over budget 5 times, your client goes crazy, your girlfriend dumps you because you're never home. Not good, not good. Too far, too far. But if you stay too safe, it becomes boring, or it's only about money, or somebody else comes and does it, or nobody cares, even worse. Yes? So you have to find the edge of what is and what is not possible. Most advanced, yet acceptable. And the following ideas, everybody agreed they are sort of Maya. They're sort of okay. So for example, here, once we've captured the space debris, can we use it to 3D print houses on the moon? NASA's already scheduling to 3D print habitats on the moon. Why are we shipping beautiful, very expensive material from planet Earth all the way up? Can we not just use what is there and create something new? Interesting. Or here, this is a bit more pushed Maya to extreme. Climate change, global warming. Can we collect the space waste to create a reflector, a solar reflector, to reduce global warming? Interesting. Or here, can we sort of create garbage trucks, garbage rovers, which harvest the space junk, burn it up, like a plasma fuel to recharge satellites which ran out of battery, to give them a second life. But the most interesting, and that's the one I'm working on now, next Monday, Tuesday, I'll be in Dubai again for World Expo. This is very interesting. In the simulations, we saw this happening. Once you have the space junk in a net, and in a controlled way you re-entry planet Earth. The moment it hits the Earth atmosphere, what happens then? It burns. Yes, very good. So I saw those simulations and I'm like, that's really interesting. So waste is light. Aha, because that's my language. I know about light. I don't know about space, but I know about light. So can we use it to create artificial shooting stars as a replacement for fireworks? And it appears, yes, we can. So Dubai is spending $8.1 million per year on fireworks. My country, the Netherlands, 70 million euros per year on fireworks. It's very, very bad for the air. People damage their eyes, you know, a lot of fires. So basically what we're saying is, you're already spending that money on traditional fireworks. Why don't you just invest it in this project, the ESA Roosegaarde project? You clean up the universe and you have a new way of fireworks. Very, very cool way of thinking in solutions and transforming a problem into a potential. You may look at all these things, and you think about it, and we're talking about, do we need another planet? No, we need to use the one that we're having right now. There's no plan B, there's no planet B. But maybe you look at those things and you say, okay, it's all beautiful, and it's poetic and nice, but it sounds like a utopia. A perfect world, a rainbow in the sky that we will never, ever reach. And I don't think that's true, because I don't believe in a utopia. I believe in a protopia, prototype, where we don't know the answer. Nobody knows how that future will look like. But we will know several things. We cannot go back. If we don't invest in new ideas, we die. Very simple. So we have to try. We have to prototype. We have to fail. We have to learn, step by step, improving. So I, you, we here today in Seoul are part of that protopia, where we use design and technology to improve, where we're not waiting for permission, but act, where we're not just consumers, but makers. We make our world, we make our dreams. And I think if we start acting like that more, not thinking in opinions, but thinking in proposals, that's for me the only way of moving forward. But thinking about all of these topics, clean air, clean water, clean space, clean energy, I think there's something above that, a layer above that, which is sort of embracing it all. And that's our mind. That's our imagination. That's our ability to think creatively. That's our true capital. And so that's why we created Presence, a museum show. First time we do something inside. I'm almost outside. First time we do something inside. For Groningen Museum, a big museum in the Netherlands, where we create Presence, an exhibition where you create the artwork and the artwork creates you. So your physical being there creates the work. Everything is please touch. I hate that in museum. They always have in the museum, please do not touch. I hate that. I want to touch. When you touch it, it becomes real. When you touch it, it becomes a memory. When you touch it, it becomes like, yeah, part of you. So we had to design this sign. I Googled for 2 hours, couldn't find it, so we had to design this sign. And it's up and running, and we'll tour through Asia next year. Short movie. Presence is a dream landscape which interacts with your behavior. I wanted to create a place where you feel connected. It shows the impact you have on the world around you, in which you make the artwork and the artwork makes you. All right. Thank you. Yes. Thank you.